welcome to Scrolling with Ceazor. Today is February 10th, 2026. Okay, I got a lot of news for you today, and as usual, this is not financial advice. You do you. This is just my own biased opinions based on the information that I got today. Okay, so let's go through these tweets one by one, but first let's take a quick look at the charts. So gold is kind of crabbing around. It's sitting at it for the past couple days. It's not really doing much. Most of the DeFi, most of the crypto coins that are, the blue chips are down around 3 or 4%. So that's not too bad, but I am still in range on my Carbon WST ETH SUSDS concentrated liquidity position. Okay, so that's that. Let's get right into the news. So the first one today, we have Liquidity, longtime fan of these guys as usual. Just kind of showing you that the weekly reward boost has come out. So if in case you don't understand what this is basically the governance token of Liquidity. What it does is it directs a certain amount of the APR, the borrow interest. So when you borrow the stablecoin, you have to pay interest on the borrowing. Now that interest is divided across the stability pools, as well as into this pool of voter-directed incentives. So 20,000 BOLD is sitting in there, and it's being spread this week across these different pools. And as you can see, the dominant one who got almost 50% is the BOLD USDC. Now that's not 50% APR on this pool. That's just 50% of like almost 10,000, like what's like $8,100 worth of BOLD is going to these people, and then these other directive places where they can send these. So anyways, you can check that out. If you are a Liquidity staker, you should be voting on these things. Sometimes there are some bribes on here, so if you are a Liquidity staker, you might want to vote to kind of get those bribes. But for the most part, you probably want to vote where you're providing liquidity if that's something you are doing. Okay, moving on. Here we have Forta. This is I'm not too sure what this is, but it kind of sounds like a security firm like Forta Network. But they got a message here that's kind of gloomy, and this gloom is kind of today's theme, okay, that I'll be talking about most of it. So it says, sanctions-linked exposure on Ethereum is bigger than most teams assume. 2.8 billion moved, 80,000 transactions, 10,000 counterparties in the last decade. The institutional era demand enforcing grade compliance. And then you can go to their article. I'll link to this article, but I will open it up and kind of show you just a little bit. So you can read through this. It's not a very long one, but it says takeaway. The institutional era of crypto is here. Finance is moving on chain and billions are following. It just kind of goes like, basically, we're kind of losing the cyberpunk aspect of crypto. And that's why I keep talking about things like Liquidity and FXUSD and these trustless force, like immutable on-chain stablecoins, because everybody just uses USDC and USDT because they're like, oh, it's safe. I don't have to worry too much. But you're kind of giving the banks and all these institutions what they want, power over you. They're taking over our little wonderful system, and they're gonna basically. Now, most people don't care. Most people in this, in the world, they don't care. They just want their money. They just want to do their job, get their pay, and figure out the easiest way to pay their bills and buy their food and stuff like that, right? Most people are like that, but I still want crypto to be permissionless and not controlled by a bunch of guys in suits in a boardroom, right? So anyhow, you can read through this article here, and it talks a little bit more about the sanctions and how Ethereum has should be a little bit more compliant and stuff like that. But it's not a long read, so you can check it out. FX protocol. Here's a video by this guy, Shelly Maffey, Shelly Maffey. She talks about FX protocol and how to use it like a pro to get kind of some strategies on how to mint and get some more and put it to work and stuff like that. It's definitely a cool video to watch. I would suggest you to check it out. I'm not gonna really summarize it right now. I'll just let you kind of get in there. But it's basically like, this is how you mint, this is how you do it, and these are some places where you can put it and stuff like that. So you can check out that YouTube video if you like. Moving on, here we have Frogonomics. Okay, so big announcement by Fidelity Digital Dollar, right? FIDDD, blah 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 blah. It's here. Fidelity's wonderful stable coin, and Frogonomics is like, well, where's the yield, right? Like that's what crypto is. Like that's what stable coins are. You can't launch a stable coin and not have any yield, and it just goes to show, like, back to that Forta thing that I was talking about the theme. Like, the banks don't care about giving people yield. They already control most of the people, so they're just like, oh well, you guys like crypto? Well, here's your crypto, but they're just going to continue to like just fleece everybody and not give anybody back like all the earnings that they're making and stuff like that. That's what I see happening, and that's what I think is going to happen. So that's why I keep talking about these on-chain predictable stable coins that have yield baked into them immutably, and there's nothing that anybody can do to stop them. So check that out. Okay, moving on. Here we have Joestar. This is a new guy to me. I don't know. I'm going to follow him just because, hey, why not, right? So Joestar, he's got this tweet here, and he's talking about the problem with like Mega ETH right now. So if you want to send assets to Mega ETH, it's pretty expensive because basically the way bridges work, especially when a chain is fairly new, I don't really think Mega ETH should have this problem. Like, it's not like they're launching stealth or like spontaneously. They've got tons of money, so they should have been able to set this up properly. But basically, the way it works is like when a chain first launches, they have to set up bridges, right, for people to bring assets into the ecosystem. However, these like chains, they don't, like USDC and USDT, they're not going to set up a native stablecoin on that chain until that chain has produced enough TVL and the metrics are met so that they can produce native minting of stablecoins on that chain. So what they have to do is they have to work with the bridges and fill both sides of those bridges with liquidity. Now, in this case, most people want to get in, so they have to have a bunch of stablecoins on Mega ETH and fill the bridge with those stablecoins. So then when people enter the bridge, they can come out the other side. But what's happening, and like it's not even, it doesn't even have to be like it doesn't even have to be like they pre-backed those stablecoins. They can mint those stablecoins out of thin air, or they can even have the bridge contract just minting stablecoins, and the bridge is the thing that's actually backing those stablecoins with like USDC or USDT on mainnet. But what happens here is like he's like, I want to try to bridge in, right? So it's like it's going to cost like $400 to bridge $20,000. So that's a pretty big fee for them to take. Now, it's a result of two things. One is that the bridge is taking a huge fee, or there's not enough liquidity inside the bridge to take out, right? It depends on how the contracts are set up or how that stablecoin is set up on Mega ETH. I'm not exactly sure. In this case, it's USDM, right? So he wants USDM out and USDT in. So I'm not sure if the bridge has the power to mint these stablecoins. If that's the case, if the bridge is able to mint USDM, then they're taking a huge cut, like $400 on $20,000. Now, if the bridge is not able to mint them and it has to be funded, then that's a problem with Mega ETH not funding the bridges. Okay. Now there is another bridge here. It says Aurori is cheaper, around $40, but most people don't know about Aurori, and so USDT Ethereum to Solana costs like 40 cents, right? Instead, so yeah, like these kinds of bridge things are what make or break a chain, especially in that first couple days. Like, if you're going to create an ecosystem, this is one of the most important things, is that you need to be able to allow people to get in and get out fluidly and with very little fees. Okay. And if you do that, then you can you can succeed. Now, on the other hand, I will add that there was this mint today. It's sold out already, so there's quite a few sold. I did manage to mint one of these NFTs this morning. They cost around, I think it was 0.35 as the mint price, and now they're trading around and stuff like that. Now this was pretty cool setup. So basically, when this mint went live, you could come in here and you could mint these tokens or these NFTs, and you could use ETH on other chains. So Base and Arbitrum and other chains, you could commit the ETH, and this is a kind of a way to bridge some ETH into the ecosystem. So it's good for Mega ETH. I don't know if it's going to be good for you, because if you minted one of these NFTs, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to sell them or not. People are flipping them. As you can see, the prices are moving. So you can flip them. They are selling and buying. People are trading these things. So there is some volume going on there. There's only about 16% listed. So anyhow, 230 ETH gone in. Now, it's like I said, it's not you bridging ETH into the ecosystem. It's you giving ETH to these guys, and these guys bridged it in. Okay, so you minted the ETH on. I'm not sure if they bridged the ETH in, but I assume they're going to. Now, I don't know too much about the history of it. I just kind of minted one, right? So, but your NFT is minted there. Okay, so anyhow, you can check that out. I'm not sure if you want to or not, but anyhow, so that's kind of like the Mega ETH story, the Mega ETH news today. Moving on, here we have Yearn Finance. Yearn Finance is the only room for 3 teams left. Sign up as a team or individual here, and you can open that. So Yearn is basically sponsoring athletic events at the Winter ETH Denver event, or DevCon, right? So like it's a dodgeball yearnament. So that's pretty cool. So Yearn is like, what they're doing here is they're if you are there and you are like going there, you can kind of watch this dodgeball game between degens, right? And it's kind of fun and cool. And if you are there, you can sign up to be a player. And it's basically like, Yearn has paid for this event, and it's kind of advertising, but also pretty cool, right? So you can check it out if you are going. I do see Sam from Liquidity is signed up and stuff, and Korn. So a few people I know, and that's cool. I'm not going because I just haven't really gone to any of these events before, but I just don't feel the need quite yet. Maybe because I don't have any protocol to sell and stuff like that, but maybe I should eventually go to one. But anyhow, so that's kind of interesting. You can check that out. It's there. There's still some spaces left. Okay, moving on. Here we have Jordy from Cryptoland. I haven't covered him for a little while, but he's doing something interesting. Today he's talking about ETH Strat. Now, ETH Strat is a protocol that I'm kind of biased with, in the sense that I hold tokens. I hold Strat tokens. I want to see this protocol exist and succeed. I do have 2 videos here. If you go to my channel, Ceazor Snack Sandwich, and you search for ETH Strat, you will see I have 2 tokens there. One talks about the Strat token. One talks about the ESPN, which is like an automated perpetual note strategy thing. And here they are talking about the bonds. And I did do a little cover on this article here, this 30% bond thing, in the past. So it's not really for everyday users. It's more for like hardcore bond traders. But he kind of gets into it and talks a little bit about how this thing works and the 2 types of tokens. So if you do see, there's like a CDT token, so it's a collateralized debt token that you can sell, and then an options token to buy ETH, and then you can buy that ETH. If you want to exercise that options token, so you got to buy back that collateralized debt token. So yeah, so it's a way to kind of, he says it really nice here. Where does he say it? Essentially, where did he say it? I can't find where he said it, but he says basically, essentially what they're doing is they're selling time, like, and that's pretty interesting. So you can get 30% yield if you play this game properly. Now you do, like, again, you have to kind of dig in here and really try to figure this out and understand it. Jordy does a pretty good job here of kind of TLDRing it, But again, you want to make sure you know what you're doing because you're going to be scalping and trading and stuff like that. So take a look at it. Thanks, Jordy. Moving on. Rectomedes. I'm a big fan of this guy. I love the way he types and the things he says and stuff like that. He's like a truthful and genuine, authentic person in my opinion. So let's kind of read through what he says here, okay? And it kind of gets back into that theme of today, okay? So it is very possible crypto will never be cool again. Indeed, it's very possible that crypto was associated with youthfulness and wealth and excitement and general thumosity for a specific period like 2012 to 2021. That period is over now. Now over. However, crypto does not need to be cool to reach 10 trillion and eventually 100 trillion market cap. Indeed, it's far more likely that it is just a boring process of millennials and zoomers slowly switching the global financial rails to crypto over the next 40 years as the boomers die off and the young crypto native generations take over leadership and all the various countries and economies worldwide. With that said, a counter argument might be that because of its permissionlessness, there will always be new exciting things that pop up. Either way, though, I don't think the coolness of crypto really has anything to do with the long-term gains of the total crypto market cap. So his message is less gloomy than what I've talked about already about the banks taking over. Like if you do make your bets properly and you do solidify yourself into some of these positions that are sustainable and also basically sustainable and have endurance, can pass the test of time, then you might be it doesn't quite matter, right? Like there will always be experiments because it's permissionless. There will always be also hacks and stuff like this as well. But, things are going to get better, but, maybe, you still have to kind of bet with your money on what you want, but also you have to kind of make some general bets on the ecosystem is kind of what I'm taking away from this. But anyhows, you can take what you want and think how you think about that, okay? So here we have Mr. Beast plus ETH rails equals asymmetric upside. People mocked the BNBR investment and what they're missing is distribution. Mr. Beast crossed 100 billion YouTube views and already reaches Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and millennials on a global scale, Super Bowl attention. So basically, like, if you don't know, BNBR, like Bitmine, they basically have some sort of deal. So Tom Lee has made a deal with Mr. Beast. And since Tom Lee is an ETH bull, and Mr. Beast has like this huge, gigantic audience, then the conclusion is ETH will be shilled by Mr. Beast and go to the moon, right? That's kind of the idea. Now, it kind of bothers me a little bit because Mr. Beast's content is garbage. Like it's literally like just I can't even think of the word. It's just pointlessness, right? And when I don't know, like maybe I haven't watched a lot of his content, and I know he does do a lot of altruistic things like donating and building houses for people in Africa and all kinds of stuff like that. And I know it's entertainment, so it should be just looked at as, oh, it's entertainment. But like, it's completely pointless, right? It's just noise, right? And just that's what's kind of wrong with society is that we put people like this on pedestals. It's like the movie in the 90s, there's this movie Idiocity where like the most stupid people become powerful because the smart people are too conservative and they don't make children, so the low IQ people basically take over, and you have like wrestlers become the presidents and all, just stupid stuff, right? And this is what I see, like his content is like a mirror of that message. And his reach is enormous. So I kind of hate that, like, he is in the position he's in. However, I hold ETH, so of course I want him to shill it, right? I want my bags to pump. So it's kind of, you know, I'm kind of in between a rock and a hard place there. Like I'm very biased, but at the same time, I don't really like what he does, and I feel like I don't want my kids to watch Mr. Beast, right? Because it's just like, I'd rather they watch something where they actually learn about the world, and, you know, maybe learn chemistry or physics or math or at least like nature, you know, Discovery Channel and stuff like this. Like, I don't know, like, again, you know, like, I was a kid too, and I wasn't watching like this stuff either, right? So I don't know. Anyhow, you can take what you want from that and think about it. Next one, we have DeFi Warhol. He's looks like he's like taking a snippet out of DeFi Llama. Revenue generation. Basically, he's like saying, like, you know, there's all kinds of stuff in crypto. You know, you're betting on all these different little narratives and all these different things, but the only thing that matters is revenue. In his sake, well, product market fit, and that is basically, in his opinion, constitutes, does it generate revenue or not. Now he's like, stable coins. Here he has only Circle and Tether, and they are, of course, generating massive amounts of revenue, and that's only because they don't give any of that revenue back to the people, to the token holders, to the, like, I guess Coinbase might be giving dividends on coin to, but I'm not sure if they are or not. I don't know, but they're not giving. They're basically just hoarding, right? But yeah, they are generating massive amounts of revenue, so they do have that, and they're paying nothing, almost nothing, to generate that revenue. So think about that. So, and then he's like, derivatives. So he lists 3 exchanges: a Hyperliquid, EdgeX, and Jupiter Exchange. So, you know, yeah, derivatives. And then he's got Pump Fund and Aerodrome for DEXs. I think Pump Fund's pretty toast, but anyhow, it's still generating massive amounts of revenue because people want easy money. Anyhow, and then RWAs, Grayscale is on this list. Now, it's like not his list. Like, I'm not saying he is shilling these products. He has taken these products from DeFi Llama as the highest generation. So it's just a list of who's generating the most revenue. And then Aave and Lido Finance for staking and lending. And then finally, everything else that you're bullish on, basically. So he's like, those are the things that matter, basically. These guys here, these 10 things that are generating yield, and then everything else is just noise, so to speak. and he does have some truth there. There is some truth there, and he's not being misleading or saying anything. He's just laying out the facts, and you take those facts and do with them as you please. Moving on. Bubble Maps. Okay. So Bubble Maps is like calling out X because they gave the $1 million article contest to this guy, Beavered, who is basically a serial pump fund rugger, right? So and they're like, you know, so he's made $600,000 from meme coin pump and dumps, right? And they're like, and like X gave him or her the $1 million article contest. And I said this a little while ago, like, to me, it's total stupidness. Like, you can't announce that you're going to give $1 million to whoever creates the most viral fucking article, because you have people like this who are, you know, like, they're just, it's a popularity contest. It doesn't even matter what he wrote in there. All that matters is the view count. And what does he do is he's probably got bots like crazy reading it. And then he's got all these like meme coin traders that are desperate and just looking to make $10 following him. And they just clicking on whatever he opens. And like, to me, if you want your protocol or your platform to have quality content. What you have to do is you have to retroactively look. You need to look back at what has been produced on your platform and then select quality stuff and reward it. Then people will see that you've done that and they will join the game and start producing content of quality, hoping that they will get rewarded as well. Or they might be producing quality content just for the sake of producing quality content, right? But in this case, it's just like, who is the most popular? We're going to give them $1 million. That's like, it's trash. Now, I did not read his article, and all I have here is the heading, and I haven't gone into it. But basically, it looks like federal spending versus failures. So it looks like he's done an article, which might actually be pretty good, about how the federal has been spending, and then how it has spent but not produced, right? Like, you heard about California spending money to reduce homelessness, but there's more and more homeless people. So anyways, you can read through this and it's like bubble maps just calling out all of the pump fund shilling. And then he does reply, he says, Crimea River, these aren't even the top 5 greatest hits. So it's he's just showing this is these are the tokens that he pumped. And then the guy replies and says, ha ha ha, Crimea River, these aren't even the 5 where I made the most money, where I rugged the most money out of people. So anyhow, that's that. You can take that as you will and keep going. Okay, so here we have Art Chick at ETH, digital art chick. She's like, this obsoletes pump fund, which I'm all for, because anyhow. So let's read what she says. Now you can bet on virality. I can never say this word. Virality. Without having to worry about insiders, cabals, creator fees, farmers, vamps, buybacks, and all the other nonsense that has been normalized in the past year. I actually blocked the person, so let me open up who it is. It's Zoomer. So Polymarket to venture into attention markets, allowing users to bet on trends and public opinion, Forbes. So I don't really think it's gonna, remove Pump Fund, because Pump Fund has insiders. The whole reason why Pump Fund is successful is because people can rug people. That's why they do it, because I can have a cabal, I can have an insider, and people will play it. But if it's all fair and it's actual trends, then there won't be massive amounts of money in it. So I don't have any proof of this whatsoever, but I do believe this in my heart and in the back of my mind, and I just can't bring myself to dig deep and find out whether or not it's true. But last week, ETH, Vitalik selling ETH, right? And everybody's screaming, ETH down, Vitalik selling, right? But Vitalik announced why he was going to do it, and then he did it, right? Whereas, Solana, for the other half, we don't even know how much, the heads of Solana got. It's just not even clear. We don't even have their wallets. So I believe that, that what they do is they select individual KOLs that have potential, right? They tell the KOL, listen, start shilling contract addresses, right? And we'll pump your shills. So they have a bunch of SOL. They pump the shill. They sandwich attack everybody as they start, playing along. They extract massive amounts of SOL, right? The cabal leader, the KOL, gets his pump and dump. He's happy. They're happy. And everyone's fleeced, right? And, of course, it's not everyone else is fleeced. Some people get in there early. Some people make money, but tons of people lose tons of money. And then, I can totally believe if someone says that's what's happening, and they don't even need to supply me with proof, and I can believe that is likely to be true. Now, will Polymarket be able to take out Pump Fund and replace Pump Fund with this thing? I don't think it's the case unless Polymarket does the same thing that I'm suggesting Solana might be doing, right? Unless money goes in and people get rich and people are tweeting, hey, look, I'm a millionaire now because of easy meme coins, or in this case, trends and public opinions, then it won't be viral. It won't have the success that Pump Fund has. But anyways, that's that. Okay, moving on. Here we have Duck. Okay, so this is pretty interesting. This is not really crypto, but I think it's like we do use this, so I think it's important to talk about it. So Discord assigns a new CEO. New CEO is Israeli. They start asking for biometric data. So yeah, so Israeli management consultant. So Human Sakakinini is an Israeli management consultant, financial technology entrepreneur, and technology and video game industry executive who has served as chief executive officer of Discord. Discord will age restrict accounts by default using unless users verify their age via face scan or ID. So Discord is going to now, on top of the other problems they have, they're going to start saying you have to scan your face, prove to us that you're an adult, and then you can fully access everything in the sake of protecting children from predators. I guess that's the case. Now, I am all for protecting kids from predators, but I do believe also that's the parents' responsibility. So why are parents allowing their kids to just roam the internet freely without any restrictions whatsoever or any kind of consideration, and then making friends with child predators, and then taking their kids out to visit these child predators, or allowing their kids to go out and to deal with them? So I'm fully against, I'm fully okay with restricting children from using things like Discord. I'm okay with this, or having a Discord child system where it's isolated and you can sign up your kid for child Discord. However, I don't think they need to KYC my face to prove that I'm not a child, that I'm just pretending to be an adult. I think that's the parents' job to protect their kids, not to allow Discord to protect my kids for me. Now, how does this relate to crypto? Crypto has used Discord for quite a while, and I don't really like it because when you go to Discord channels, it's just a huge mess. It's like going to a mall filled with like stores, and you just want to like get an answer. You got to walk around the mall. You got to find that information desk. It takes an hour to walk through the mall and find the information desk so you can say, hey, I got a question about something I bought from this store. You got to walk around the mall to find the store to return your item, or whatever the heck it might be. That's what it feels like in Discord. And then now, instead of just like walking around the mall, it's like there are constantly scammers. You type anything into any Discord, you constantly get bombarded with like, hey, check my profile, DMs are closed, and it's just check this. And like as soon as you type anything in any Discord, massive amounts of bots reply to you, and you have to wait for the bots to get filtered out. And then, you finally get maybe a community member or someone to answer you. It's just a shit show now. So I feel like Discord's already on the downslope, and then now they're going to make you KYC, like scan your face. It's like I'm at the point where I'm like ready to completely uninstall it. Moving on. So here we have Joe. So Joe he's got an article here about how to fix the little issue of, the CRV peg, the CRV USD peg problem, that yield basis. Now they call it a peg problem, but it's not, it is a problem. It does need solving, but it's not like an exploit, or it's not like the peg has like been decimated, right? It's just there is a small problem, and the controlled rollout of yield basis has been proven successful. Like they slowly rolled it out, and then it got basically attacked from just market market price action, and they saw the result of that black swan sort of maybe it's not a black swan, but maybe black baby swan, right? And they're kind of trying to figure it out. So this guy has a long article here that kind of talks a little bit about this thing and how it can how possible ways to fix this. It's a really long article, but it's well thought out, and there's a lot in here that is intelligent and worth reading. So I'm going to share this article and post it. I'm not going to go through it right now because it's going to take way too long. But yeah, so I do highly suggest you check it out if you are anywhere near CRV USD or yield basis or anything like that. Okay, moving on. Here I have Milk Road. Okay, this is interesting. I'm not going to read all of this either. It's a little bit long, but his headline is pretty good. Okay, good Lord, Hyperliquid has overtaken Coinbase in notional trading volume. So Hyperliquid has 2.6 trillion, Coinbase 1.4 trillion. And that's great. I'm all for this. I like Coinbase because they support the ecosystem, right? And they kind of like their business is business, but their business is also trying to keep crypto alive because that's their business, right? And they're definitely doing a lot more on the regulatory front than Hyperliquid is doing. I don't even think Hyperliquid is talking to any of the regulators or even is in the USA. I don't even know, right? I doubt it, right? So there's that. However, I'm all for also, bringing a lot of that trading on chain because we want people to have their own keys, custody, and all this kind of stuff. And then, Hyperliquid doesn't, as far as I know, they don't charge protocols to list their coins. They don't double dip. They're not doing that kind of stuff. And then he goes in, he talks a little bit about the token, like we have hype token versus coin token, right? But anyhow, there is that. I'm biased. I hold coin, but I also hold hype, a lot more hype than I hold coin. Coin, I got like $100 or something like that. So just like some derivative like RWA tokenized thing I bought somewhere, and I can't even remember where. But anyways, moving on. Here we have a article by Eli 5 DeFi, and it's about basically talking about AI inside the ecosystem. And there's a lot here as well, but basically the idea of this article is that AI is here, and it's good and it's bad, right? So number one, we're going to get just bombarded with code now. Code is just going to come it's like a tsunami of code. It's like you don't even need to code anymore. You just tell vibe code stuff, and it's just things are going to come like crazy. Now, that's good and that's bad. So it's good because we're going to get lots of experiments, a lot of iterations, a lot of little ideas, which is fantastic. But we're going to get a lot of code that is exploitable and problematic. And then you're going to have, even if there's a small issue with the code, he's a vibe coder. He doesn't even know how to fix it. And he doesn't know how to react. He doesn't have first principle security mentality. He's just vibe coded something up, and he's just gonna put his hands back and be like, hey man, I just vibe coded this thing, I don't know, right? I don't know how to fix this, right? We're gonna have a lot of that kind of stuff going on. But so we're gonna have just an abundance of just opportunities and code and ideas coming to the space. It's gonna be crazy in that sense. So that's basically the idea of this article in very, very general terms. I would suggest you to kind of check through here and kind of dig through for the specific little points and so forth. But I think it's a good read. So good job, Eli 5. I got one more for you, and then I got something I want to kind of quickly show you at the end here. Okay, so scaling. So Approve, scaling TPS is much more a function of solving for demand as it is about solving for supply. So here we have Approve talking about, Rise X Trade and Rise Chain and how they are pumping TPS like crazy. Now, I talked to someone the other day. They asked me what's the point of mega ETHs, like massive amount of like TPS, like their high throughputness, right? It's a general use chain, and do we really need this, right? And I kind of thought about it a little bit, and like I send, sometimes I'll bridge, USDC across the CCTP bridge, and I'll wait the 20 minutes and I'll be totally cool with it. I'm like, yeah, fine. I'll just go have a coffee, drink, do a round of Tai Chi or something, and then come back, right? And then get my money, right? And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with the current like transaction speed, right? Like if I send a transaction, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with using CalSwap, which is actually slower than a normal transaction. I'm fully okay with all of these things as a user. Now, if I was running a bot or arbitrage bot, maybe I'm not okay with that. If I'm trying to liquidate positions, maybe I'm not okay with that, right? So there is that use case of like, do we need that much speed? Do we need that much instantaneousness, especially for like financial primitives? Now, if you build a chain like what Rise is doing, and they're building it specifically to do a specific task, or like Lighter or Hyperliquid, these are specific utilities, specific tasks. So they're building like a club and a derivatives perpetual trading club, right? And what that will do is it'll allow the people who are on these centralized exchanges, the people who are doing these market making strategies and the automated stuff on centralized exchanges, they will be able to do this stuff on chain on Rise. And so it's a very specific utility that needs that speed and that TPS. But does Mega ETH, who's looking like it's going to be a general use chain, does it need that? Like today I did that minting of that NFT. It wasn't instantaneous. It was slow, but it was, commit ETH on base, mint on Mega ETH, but it wasn't instantaneous. But it's not, you can't point at Mega ETH and say it's not super fast, because look what happened, because it's using two chains in a cross-chain bridging type thing, right? Messaging. So maybe on-chain, the actual the things happening on Mega ETH might be super fast. I do have to kind of look at it, because I'm sure there's probably some opportunities there to be had, and I'll have to dig into it a little bit more. Okay, so I did come across this thing recently. It's called Rail. I've just kind of, you can kind of go here, and I've been clicking through these and kind of looking at these troves. These are like troves on Liquidity version 2 troves. You can put in an address or click on these and open up troves and kind of see the history of this trove and so forth. And I'm going to do a video on this and talk a little bit about troves and stuff like that in the next couple of days, maybe even today, maybe even after I finish this. So I just wanted to kind of show this and kind of say that this thing is here. It's called rails.finance, and you can check it out. But I'll do a more deeper video and talk a little bit more about some of these ideas and things on this. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.